So, sorry in advance, but I have to. Let's walk this sucker. Bill
Right on.
Allen, welcome to the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast. Thank you so much for being here. For those who may not know, Bill is an actor, very well known for the lead role as Cru Jones in the BMX Cult Classic Rad. Bill is also the author of his new book, My Rad Career, which we'll be getting into in a bit. But to my surprise, you're a pilot also, or an amateur pilot at least. Is that right?
It is true. I've been flying about 21 years now. I fly light sport aircraft, and yeah, I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. I just saw recent on Facebook. Were you just flying this past weekend?
Yesterday.
This past week. Very cool. So what is that exactly? Is that like it's not a regular plane, right? It looks like a parachute kind of thing.
It's called a powered parachute, and it's similar to the backpack units. You've seen the guys with the propeller on their backs and the parachute. Sure. This is very similar, except you're in a three-wheeled cart. You know, you actually have landing gear. You can take a passenger. It's about 14 feet long. It's like the size of a golf cart maybe inside, and you can take you and a friend at 30 miles an hour airspeed up to 10,000, 13,000 feet. But wow. Generally, I like to stay around 1,000 feet and just cruise around. Yesterday, we were flying over the foothills in Arvin near Bakersfield, and we're flying over a herd of wild pigs. You know, you can get out there pretty easily. So, yeah, wow. It's just a joy. And frankly, it looks a lot more dangerous than it actually is. Okay. That's my opinion. Any air sport is inherently dangerous, but if you do this in the right manner, it's pretty safe. I used to take my mother up in her 80s.
Wow, that's really cool. So it's more like a gliding kind of feeling than like flying. Like, is it
correct?
Okay.
You actually do have a two-stroke motor that keeps you afloat, but you can go up a few thousand feet, cut the motor, and be in a glider, and then turn the engine back on. It's just a very versatile machine. And I just shot a pilot. Excuse the terminology, the first episode of a TV show that I hope to do, taken from the inside of the airplane where I interview people in the back seat. So we're getting that going.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I hope we get to see that.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about Rad.
I remember that movie.
You remember that one, right? I must have watched this movie at least 10,000 times. I know most people would probably say like 1 million, but I'm being realistic. That's probably like a legit number. I probably watched it like about 10,000 times.
Okay.
So I was 5 years old when that movie came out in '86. I had the VHS. I played it so many times the tape broke. But back in the '80s and '90s, your tape broke and you had to fix it. You know, there was no digital copy or download or anything like that. I spliced it back together so many times. The VCR started spitting the tape out. So you can imagine my despair, but good thing I had a copy of Gleaming the Cube to fill the void. Which, if you haven't seen that movie, I mean, I know you have, but people listening, that's a good one, if you can find it. To make a long story short, I eventually got the DVD, which I'm pretty sure was a bootleg, but it sufficed. The point to all this is I'm certainly not the only one who possessed the obsessiveness of the film. So did you have any idea of what Rad was going to be during filming? Did you have any foresight of its ultimate cult success?
Yeah, I kind of did. I'd never seen anything like that before. I walked on to the film set, hear the greatest athletes of the sport performing in a way that I had never seen before. And of course, Hell Track took it to a whole new level that I'd never experienced, nor anybody really at that point, as far as an organized race or an event with such a high level of professionalism needed to complete the course.
Yeah.
So I absolutely believed that it was going to have a huge impact. We got Hal Needham as the director. We got Eddie. We got Martin. We got the cream of the crop that they could get, for the scheduling. There were others that could have been in the movie that weren't, but as it turned out, we had enough to make it this thing. And you always look back at something and go, well, I could have done that better, or I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd thought to mention this. But at the end of the day, here we are 35 years later, something like that, and still talking about it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So how old were you at the time, and how did you land the role of Cru Jones?
I was 24, I believe, when I filmed the movie. So like Melrose Place or something. I was well into my 20s playing a teenager. But at that point, I could pull it off. I was pretty skinny. I was a little guy, and I looked like a kid on that bike. Somebody 4 or 5 inches taller, it's just a little overgrown, it looks. And so I was on a TV show in the 80s called Hill Street Blues, and Hal Needham saw that performance. And then the night before he started casting, it reran. I mean, what a good, fortunate thing for me. And he saw it again. It's a very important TV show at the time. And I had a nice little guest starring role. So he brought me in because of that. And I just read a few lines, maybe one of the scenes, I don't even remember which one. And there was a mongoose bike. I wish I had that bike now. And he had me sit on that. And it was mostly, in my mind, being at the right place and the right time, and having a certain amount of ability to make it believable. But what I didn't have was the chops on a BMX bike, and that's one of my regrets that I'm trying to make up for in my old age. I'm riding now, but I wasn't at the time, and didn't really need to. I had such great coverage with stunt doubles. There's certain points where you see me riding and I cringe at those scenes watching my lack of ability, but generally the illusion worked.
Sure. So a majority of the stunts in the film were performed by the amazing Martin Aparijo, Eddie Fiola. What would you say is the greatest takeaway from that experience as far as you riding BMX? And well, do you still ride to this day, which you obviously just said?
Well, I actually, maybe in the last 5 years, got a BMX bike and started hanging out with Martin and Ed and picking up tricks from them and taking lessons. So I picked up a few tricks without ending up in the ER. So for me, that's kind of the takeaway, is for these guys to do what they do. They've all spent a lot of time in the ER, to the point where, the great Matt Hoffman, you probably know this, got sick of going to the ER and would just stitch himself up with a sewing kit right there on the track. So these guys, kids, some of them, men now, they have got, in many, many cases, what I refer to as true grit, the ability to just get back on the bicycle, no matter how badly injured they were the week before or the race before, and get back on that. Ed talks about having his hand taped to the handlebars so he can compete, and that's what these athletes have to do in order to compete at the level they do. So I'm always in awe of that kind of dedication when it really means you kind of destroying your body in the process. And that's what all of these guys pretty much to a man have to do. Or woman. Yeah.
What would you say was your greatest challenge on set during filming Red?
Oh, keeping my distance around Lori Loughlin. She's pretty attractive, and you have to be professional in these instances. And I had some bad experiences that I created for myself on movie sets before. So you don't want to make that a deal breaker or make it too uncomfortable to work with your coworker. At the same time, Maron, she's Lori Loughlin,
Sure.
So I had to make my move. I had to, and I screwed that one up royally, which is fine. I don't think it was meant to be, and I'm okay with that. I've got a lovely wife that I've been married to for decades now, so I'm pretty psyched about that. Challenges, I did have to stay on the bike a lot. I did crash without a helmet, nearly got a concussion. I spent as much time as I could on a bicycle just to look comfortable on one and just to look like I belonged on one. But truly, I could have used about 3 or 4 more years preparation.
Wow. Yeah. So have you been in touch with Lori at all, or is the last time you talked to her on the set of that movie?
Yeah, it's funny. I see her in the press a lot lately, but there's been no, there's been no personal contact since literally the last day of shooting, which would probably be the bicycle boogie sequence. My wife ran into her a long time ago. So yeah, we never touched base again. I see Bart Connor on occasion, and we do a lot of interviews together for the release of the movie. Talia Shire, the same. I see her occasionally, but I mostly stay in touch with the stunt players and ride bikes with those guys down in Huntington Beach on Tuesdays. You'll find us down there, and people ride by on their bikes, and it's like, oh, looks like a scene from Rad, and somebody would be like, oh, wait a second, come here, check this out. So it can be, it can be, that happens almost every week, and almost every week somebody flies in from out of state or out of country to come and ride with us. And in my mind, that's the spirit of Rad. It's guys in a parking lot or in a dirt track just doing it for themselves and cracking each other up. They're not trying to, you know, make it in social media. This is just what we're doing here and now. And it's such a joy-giving thing, you know, and we've got such a good crew. And I don't know how deep you are into the BMX world, but that's by far the best thing about it is the people involved and the fellowship that comes about.
Yeah, it's a great community. Absolutely. Now, 34 years later, we get this. I don't know if you can see it here.
Yeah.
Holographic cover. We finally get this 4K. It's put out by Vinegar Syndrome. This thing is beautiful. My only regret is not ordering two of them, honestly. But we got one side with the holographic, other side's like a shiny foil. Even the spine's yellow and then blue. Very beautiful. This is the coolest part. They open it up, and we got a tagline here. Hometown kid on his BMX against the best in the world at Hell Track. The heat is on. And then we got the spine there. Now, if you flip it around, we got a different color, a little darker blue, the yellow spine, and a different tagline. It's going to take a lot more than skill for Cru Jones to win the toughest BMX race in history. It's going to take a miracle. Which one was the original one? Do you remember?
I think it's going to take a miracle.
It's going to take a miracle, right? I remember that one on
the
yeah.
I think that the first time I saw that maybe was on the poster for the videotape.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
Right. And then you'd think it's over, and it's not. You got two Blu-rays. One's the 4K, one's the original. And then this, you got amazing poster, and the best part, Hell Track.
How cool was that?
So cool. And I mean, it was kind of pointless for me to show this because it's gone, right? You can't even get them.
That's what I was going to say. You're just torturing the fans now.
That's right. Well, I'm showing it off. I'm proud. I got it on time.
You did. So, it was what a limited run of like 12,000.
I've seen them on eBay and stuff like that, but they're not cheap. So good.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that is right. So now, are they making any more as far as you know, or is that it?
Any more what?
Any more copies of the 4K Blu-ray?
I saw it online, so it must be true. Yes, that's what I read online. So okay. I don't have any direct info, but obviously there's a demand for it, even though now it's streaming. It's on Showtime. It's on every streaming platform you can name. So,
right.
But like yourself, people want to see it on Laserdisc. They want to see the VHS version. They want to see the 4K version. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
You know, I still win the race at the end. Sure, I cheat, but it doesn't change the outcome. But people just they want to see every iteration of it. It's hysterical.
Sure. And this was by far, to me at least, the best one so far as the quality goes.
Well, it was because they actually did a 4K. They did a restoration and then a proper digitization over at PhotoChem here in Burbank. So, and it was overseen by John Schwartzman, who was the cinematographer for the opening and closing sequences. For a lot of people, that's their favorite part of the movie. And that was his first job out of USC. He was the producer's son. John Schwartzman is now like Michael Bay's cinematographer, so he oversaw the restoration and the 4K version. And so that's part of the reason it looks so good. But the thing that cracked me up is when a lot of people chimed in and said, it's grainy. It looks very grainy. And it's like, yeah, that's film.
Yeah.
That's what film looks like.
Right.
And it's so precise that you can see that film grain, which to me is just like, oh, it's like liquid chocolate. I can't get enough of it, you know. But they did not go back and reshoot the thing in 4K. They just photographed the negative in 4K. So yeah, just to be clear.
Yeah, yeah. And now that wasn't completely pointless if they're going to re-release it. So hopefully, you got, you know, everyone out there, keep your eyes peeled. Do you ever see a spin-off or a sequel or a remake, do you think, in our lifetime?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Oh, no. Okay. Hold on.
I'm kidding.
Oh, no. Well, I was having Wi-Fi problems before, so
no comment.
Okay. To me, and I'm going to say this here, but it would be pretty cool to see something like in the vein of Cobra Kai, like call it Rad Racing. You know what I mean? Like it takes place in the future. That'd be pretty cool. You heard it here first if that happens.
Not first, but yes.
Wow. So I might be onto something. All right. Let's get into the book, My Rad Career. I love this book. It's fantastic. If you're a fan, or even if you have no idea, there's a great book, amazing insight into the industry and what it was like growing up and working in Hollywood. It's insightful, it's funny, it's heartfelt, it's everything you want and more. So let's start with the front. Who shot the cover? Where and when was it shot?
Let's see. That was the great Tony Donaldson in Eddie Fiola's backyard. We did a Rad commentary reel. I don't know if you're even aware of it. It's on iTunes. It's called Rad Behind the Scenes.
Okay.
It's myself, Jose Inez, Bart Connor, Eddie Martin, and we all do like a freewheeling commentary reel. And it was that day that the great Tony Donaldson, very gifted photographer, came down, and I believe that's Jeremy Moser's bike we used, and did it in Eddie Fiola's backyard. So that's pretty auspicious.
Wow, very cool. So how long did it take you to write the book?
Probably 6 months, and that was several years ago. And I've been fortunate enough to work with the Beacon Publishing Group. They discovered the book on Amazon. It had a lot of 5-star reviews. So they approached me about doing an audiobook, a hardcover, and a softcover. And it just so happened that I had been writing extra chapters for the book. I wanted to come out with a second edition. So very excited to announce that it's now available, the second edition, in hardcover, softcover, and audiobook. You go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Audible, and you can find My Rad Career. So it's just very gratifying that this basically self-published book that you did for, you know, a very kind of small slice of the population got picked up by a major New York publisher and is now getting it out there. So I'm pleased that you love it. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of very personal stories that were not easy to come up with or to decide, should I even put this in there? Mm-hmm. You know, and a couple of things got in there that I maybe shouldn't have put in there, but I was trying to be brutally honest without getting anybody thrown in jail. And so I wanted to offer to anybody who's listening, I'll let you pick out a random fan and I will send them an audio download of My Rad Career.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Let me ask you, what was the most surprising part to you?
The most surprising part to me. One of the ones I really liked was the set of Hypersapien.
Right. It was a wild time. And of course, meeting Keenan Wynn, if you're a movie fan, I mean, he was in everything, you know, for like 30 years. He was such a strong force in movies. And so to get to meet him was just him, and Jack Weston and Ray Walston. You know, we're all staying in the same hotel, and I got to run into these guys and work with them a lot. And for a young actor, it was oh man, it's like a kid in a candy store. I was just so happy, you know, to be around these people that I'd grow up watching and admiring and holding aloft as something to aspire for. And all of a sudden you're in a scene with them. How did this happen? You know, so I've been very, very fortunate.
Sure, sure. Okay, there we go. You should see my desktop. All right,
cool.
I'm gonna pull up this folder.
It's pretty badass.
Thank you. All right. Take your time.
It's like the old black cat. Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So, all right, here we go. We know this guy. So we got Bill Allen sitting with George Clooney, 1982. It says with Danger Boy George Clooney. So what was this on the set of?
Well, this is at Lou Diamond Phillips' house.
Okay.
Now that I look at that date is completely wrong. I'm gonna say that's more like 84.
Okay.
Am I right? Yeah, that's probably more like 84. And that's Lou Diamond Phillips was a dear friend from my acting school days. Just post my first movie with George, I did a horse racing movie with George, his cousin Miguel Ferrer, who we recently lost, Rafael Ferrer, and Jose Ferrer, who was an Oscar-winning actor from the 50s. He won for Cyrano de Bergerac. Well, that was George's uncle. And somehow we all ended up in the same movie together, directed by a cousin of mine. And that movie, And They're Off, and I've seen George talk about it, that's what got me and him out in California for the first time. We had a little money, had some contacts out here. Mostly Miguel Ferrer is very responsible for both George and I making it out here to the West Coast. So this was pre-fame days for George, obviously. And we just all spent a lot of time up at Lou Diamond Phillips' house, right when he hit after La Bamba. Very.
So now, before, you said this in 1984. So before this, there was a movie you were involved with George Clooney in, right?
That's what I'm talking about. It's a movie called And They're Off that a cousin of mine directed.
Yes.
And he put this thing together. We're shooting it in Kentucky. And Miguel, who I mentioned earlier, Miguel Ferrer, knew his cousin George was up in Cincinnati, just fresh out of business school. So he called him up, George, get your butt down here. And he did. He drove down to Lexington, Kentucky, and was on that movie set with us for a good 4 months at least, probably 5 or 6. That's how long the entire shoot lasted, which is incredibly long for any movie shoot.
Yeah.
And that's how George and I became just enamored with the business. We got to work with some really great people. Adam Rourke, who played my father, is a great character actor from so many great films. And George and I were both Midwesterners, and we were introduced to show business in that Midwestern setting. And we both got kind of dragged out to the left coast, and that's kind of how that came about. And Lou I knew from acting school in Texas, and he got cast in La Bamba on a nationwide search. So by 84, 85, he was out here, and so that's a photo from that period of history. Gotcha.
And now that movie was never released, right?
Thank God, it was awful. truly abysmal.
All right. Up next, we got, this is obviously on the set of Rad. Jack Weston, Alfie Wise, and Bill Allen right in the middle.
Yeah, how fun is that?
It's great. What was it like working with these guys, especially Jack Weston here? He was like the ultimate 80s villain, you know?
Hysterical. Villain. You know, and he played a big drinker in Rad, Jack did. And if you look at his breast pocket, you might see a flask. The outline of a flask.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I'm looking at it because he definitely had one on hand at all times. He was that guy. And somehow it's just great for the film. You know, he holds it together, but you know this guy's a hot mess. And so he's able to portray that guy on camera. But he starred in one of my favorite episodes of one of my childhood favorite television series, Twilight Zone, you know, Nightmare on, or it's not Nightmare on Elm Street, but something like that. And he was just one of the great character actors of all time. And the more old movies I watch, the more I see him in them. So again, I just couldn't believe the company I was keeping. He left this movie to go straight to work with Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty on Ishtar. You know, I remember that at the time. So, you know, I felt I was surrounded in great company. Alfie Wise, he had worked in a lot of Hal's films, you know, Smokey and the Bandit and the Cannonball Run movies. So he was a hoot to be around, old Alfie.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got next. There we go. All right. So this is a van touring a, you know, like a half pipe ramp basically around. Is this in promotion for the movie?
It is. So we took that little quarter pipe around the country in that van. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We took it to Philly and a lot of East Coast cities, and we'd go do, you know, anywhere from movie theater, parking lots to children hospitals. We did a lot of charity events, and that was very impactful for me. But it was with Rich Segur, who I still see, and the great fly-in Brian Blyther was on that tour. Brian was actually in the opening credits of the movie. And by the time that little tour was over, the movie had been pulled from theaters. It did not do well in movie theaters. I think it was undermarketed, but I think you would agree once it got on VHS, it very much found its audience and kind of made history in that way.
Oh yeah, and it hasn't stopped since. All right.
That's right.
All right. Next we got Bill's looking out the window, and on the bottom says, "Watching the parade go by without me." So what's going on here?
Yeah. What a poignant shot. I can't believe I'm actually looking at this. So I passed on the premiere of the movie. I didn't go. And that's an embarrassing story. You can read all about my book. And so I was not favored by the producers at that time. Now, this apartment you're looking at is at Bronson and Hollywood Boulevard. And back in the day, it's a little different now. They would let the stars from the Hollywood parade off right in that parking lot right beside my house, or the street right beside my house. So me and my acting coach were watching the Hollywood parade live on TV, and there's a whole convertible and all the riders from Rad, or a half a dozen from them, and no me.
Wow. Oh.
But not the star of the movie. So he's actually got a photo of me looking down as they're letting the stunt players and the other actors from the movie out from the Hollywood parade. And I'm like, what did I do? What did I do?
Oh man. All right, here we go. We got Bill Allen standing next to, I forget, that's Stephen Baldwin, right?
That is Billy Baldwin.
Billy Baldwin. I always mix up the Baldwins, and I'm not sure of the other actor, but This is 1989 jungle training for Born on 4th of July. So what was it like working with the amazing Oliver Stone on the set of Born on 4th of July?
It was difficult. We were the troops basically for the film. We went through the same training under the tutelage of Captain Dale Dye that he put all the guys for Platoon and his other war movies, Heaven and Earth. And so by this time, they kind of had it down where they would take a group of actors, take them out in the jungle, and through sleep deprivation and actual Marine jungle warfare training, kind of whip you into shape and make you look like you haven't slept in a few weeks, which that's how we did it. We didn't sleep for a few weeks. And you can look at our faces right there. We're not too happy. But I got to be really good friends with Dale Dye and some of the Marine reservists, and Tom Cruise was there the whole time. We got along really well. And it mostly introduced me into the world of the Marine Corps. I've got a Marine staying with me right now. I talk to my Marine friends daily now. So more than the movie, it brought me into the realm of these brothers in arms, and I'm honored that they will even talk to me, much less treat me like I'm you know, at their level.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, here we have Bill, 1993, at Farm Aid, on stage in front of, I don't even know, hundreds of thousands of people, right?
It's a big crowd.
Yeah.
So I was in a band with Lou Diamond Phillips, and we're looking at getting together again for another project. But I toured a long time with those guys. It's called the Pipe Fitters, featuring Lou Diamond Phillips. I was a founding member of the group with my brother, and because of Lou's fame, and we were a pretty decent rock and roll roadhouse band at the time. I would say very good.
Yeah.
And so we got to play some pretty incredible gigs. We toured stadiums with Billy Ray Cyrus when he was bigger than Miley Cyrus, and had a lot of fun. Got to get on a tour bus with 5 of my best friends and tour the country and play gigs. I'm a musician, obviously, and we had the best time. And I still keep my hand in the music, and working on getting another producer credit in that world going as a producer and performer. But that shot right there had kind of been in my mind since I was a kid. What would it be like to stand in front of that many people, you know? And I got to find it out, and I had somebody, I staged that photo. It's like, stand here when I'm out there, take this picture. I need to see that, and I can look at that, and that's a dream come true right there.
Absolutely. So what did it feel like?
Better than it looks. It's just so, it was such a, I'm now in the matrix. I'm now walked inside my own dream world with my best friends, and look at all this. And, you know, it was like a cloud passing over. It was a moment that came and gone, but I can point to that and look at it and go, man, I did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear some new music, hopefully one day soon.
Oh, I'm so excited. I produced a record about 5 years ago as a tribute to my friend, Texas blues legend, Bugs Henderson. And if you go to CD Baby, it's called The King of Clubs, a tribute to Bugs Henderson. It's a 2 CD set. You know, you can download it digitally, but it's one of the great guitar records that I've ever heard. I'm so proud of it.
Very cool. Wow, I got to check that out.
Yeah.
All right. So here we have Bill Allen with Daniel Tosh. 2012.
Right.
He's obviously a very big fan. You know, it's in the front page of the book, and he does talk about it on the show, you know, occasionally. So how did this meeting happen? Were you on the show?
I've been on the show 3 times, and he's referenced me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a super fan. The last time I was on the show, he's one of these guys. He opens the show. He says, Cru Jones cheated during qualifying. Roll the tape. And of course, they roll the tape of me cutting corners, and he starts calling me out, and I'm in the audience. I'm a plant, you know, and I jump up, and I'm like, I've had enough, and I storm out. But he's really one of these guys who just sits around and thinks up these different scenarios, and he actually plays the opening credits when you go see him live. He'll throw it up on the big screen. So he's way into it. I just got a call from his producer one time saying, would you like to be on the show? And so that's how that happened.
Oh, very cool. So is this show ending? I thought I heard that. Is it the last season? Do you know?
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Well, no, I guess you're not going to be on it anymore if it's canceled, but
I'm on it now and forever. You'll watch reruns. And I was sitting there with my nephew one time, and we're watching Tosh.0 because I like the show, and he just referenced me and talking about how he's friends with Bill Allen. And I look over at my nephew, nothing, didn't change his expression at all. I'm like, nothing for that. Come on, dude. So he'll name check me a lot. It's really funny.
Yeah. He's hilarious. That show is great. I wish it wasn't going, but it's been on for a very long time.
That's right. Good run.
All right. So this is the last one I have. This is Jose Yanez, Eddie Fiola, and you almost 30 years later. Photo by Tony Donaldson, which he helped me get in touch with you. So I wanted to give a little shout out to him. Thank you very much.
Right.
And what do we got going on in this picture here?
So this is at Woodward West, I believe. And there is a old school BMX reunion every year at Woodward West. This is probably the first one I went to several years ago. And guys like this and Matt Hoffman and just the cream of the crop kind of show up for these events. And I understand they've taken down Mega Ramp, but to see these guys, to watch them hang out and do their tricks. And again, the camaraderie is so strong, and you can see the bond here. You know, it's just really, it continues after all these years. And my gosh, I'm so happy about that. You know, these showbiz relationships when you meet on set are very fleeting and ephemeral. And you always say, oh, let's get together afterwards. And it rarely happens. So to have this kind of legacy, and we still go to events. I've traveled, you know, to several countries with Martin and Ed. We've been to England and Australia and several different states, including Texas, where we recreated Hell Track about 3 years ago outside of Dallas. So yeah, there's still more fun to come.
Very cool. Very cool. So I am going to come back to the regular screen here. So as of recent too, you've been touring around the country a little bit with screenings, right? Like outdoor screenings.
Yeah, I've been to, let's see, I was in Bentonville and then Dallas a couple of days ago. And then next week we're at Frida Cinema in Santa Ana. I think that's on the 19th. Let me double check that. It's the 19th of Thursday. Yeah, the 19th in Santa Ana. At
Very
Frida
cool.
Cinema, I will be there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny with this whole thing that's going on with the pandemic and movie theaters shutting down, or I mean, they're reopening, but a lot of them are still shut down. This is cool. You get to see it. I would love to see this on the big screen. I never had the chance to.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like you've seen it in 12 different formats.
Right.
But it's like, and now I got to see it on the big screen. The outcome is the same, but that's how avid fans are. I love it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it on my phone yet, but I guess I'll try that.
You will. You'll watch it on your iWatch.
I will. You know, I have my own little outdoor movie screen. It's nothing huge or anything, but that's next summer. I'm in New York here, so it's too cold right now, but in the summer that's going to be up on the screen outside here. So I would ask you normally we can expect next, but we went over a couple things. But is there anything else you want to add?
I know there is, but yeah, I think that about covers it for now. We've got some cool projects coming up, David, and I will keep you in the loop. But right now, I think we pretty much covered all I can cover. Gotcha.
Yeah. So one question I ask everybody is, on a scale from 1 to hell fucking yeah, how excited were you to be here today?
Oh, hell fucking yeah, dude. It was awesome.
Awesome.
I love talking to super fans, dude. It makes my heart sing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm always be a fan. Thank you so much for being here, Bill. I hope to see more of you in the future. You're an incredibly talented guy. It was very rad for me to do this with you. It was very surreal. Until next time, peace.
Peace. Thanks.
Bill, thank you very much. Seriously.
Okay, David.
All right. Bye-bye. There you go, guys. Bill Allen on the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast. I just wanted to take a quick second to thank Large Ray and Tony Donaldson for making this happen. I'm not really sure why Bill thinks my name is David, but I'm not mad. It's all good. It was a childhood dream come true, really. So thank you, guys.